2,000 years ago, Britain was a wilderness on the edge of the known world. The canopy of the primeval forest was thick, and under its ancient giant trees lived many wild animals. Then in 43 AD, a new noise could be heard echoing through the dark forest, the sound of the world's mightiest and most feared army, the Romans. The Roman invasion of Britain was arguably the most significant event to ever happen to the British Isles. It was not just a military invasion, but also a cultural and biological one. The Romans introduced many of the fruits, vegetables and domesticated animals we take for granted today. One species the Romans brought with them to Britain was the sweet chestnut, Castanea sativa. Originally from the coastal regions of the Mediterranean, pollen analysis has revealed that the tree was planted widely across Europe by the end of the Roman period. So why was the sweet chestnut so valuable to the Romans? Whilst the sweet chestnut wood is very durable and 20% lighter than oak, it is easy to split and work with simple tools. The wood is also rich in tannins, which allow it to resist rot and can typically last over 20 years without any form of treatment. Sweet chestnuts also make excellent charcoal, which the Romans needed in large quantities to produce iron. Besides its useful wood, the Romans also prized the sweet chestnut for its fruit. These were an important staple food of the Roman diet. Roasted chestnuts could be ground into flour and used to make bread, cakes or porridge. In autumn, the Romans allowed their pigs to graze freely in the sweet chestnut orchards, a practice that in later times became known as pannaging. Following the fall of the Roman Empire, the sweet chestnut trees the Romans left behind have continued to be a valuable resource. In many parts of Europe, the rural poor were forced to live on chestnuts as their principal and often sole source of food. An expanding human population in medieval times led to the widespread clearance of native woodland in some parts of Europe and their replacement with orchards of sweet chestnut. However, in Britain, the wetter and cooler climate impeded fruit maturation, so sweet chestnut cultivation was never as important here as it was in France, Spain or Italy. Sweet chestnut became economically important in Britain in the 16th century when Flemish refugees introduced hops to Britain. Sweet chestnut is the ideal wood for making hop poles because when coppiced it grows both quickly and very straight, and the timber doesn't rot in the ground. Such was the demand for hop poles that many fine plantations of sweet chestnuts were established in Kent, Sussex and Surrey, and their owners made vast fortunes. The timber of the sweet chestnut was also used in other traditional crafts like trug making and shipbuilding, as well as for wooden stakes and fencing. In the 20th century, many of the products traditionally made from sweet chestnut were produced from metal or plastic, and the economic value of sweet chestnut coppice declined. Coppice woodland that had been carefully managed for centuries was left to grow wild, often developing into thick impenetrable woodland, made dangerous by the devastating storms in 1987. In recent years there have been signs that the sweet chestnut is making a comeback. The use of sweet chestnut timber as an external cladding for buildings has become very popular, and advances in glue lamination mean that sweet chestnut is now being used to make curved structural beams. In the south of England, few building materials can claim to be as sustainable as sweet chestnut. The timber is available locally, replenishes itself very quickly, and the management of the sweet chestnut coppice benefits both the local economy and biodiversity. Because of its green credentials, sweet chestnut could be an important source of energy in the future. There are 21,000 hectares of sweet chestnut woodland in the south of England. If these trees were managed for biomass production, they would yield a significant amount of energy. The sweet chestnut has survived in Britain for 2,000 years, and I'm sure because of its versatility and usefulness, it will still be with us in 2,000 more.